We have a major Milwaukee Bucks trade update to go over today as the Giannis saga continues to grow and a brand new report has dropped revealing and leaking the latest Giannis trade offer. We're going to break down exactly what those details are and discuss who's involved, as this not only changes everything for the Bucks, but has fans fired up. You don't want to stay tuned to see exactly who these players are. We also have a few other updates to go over today, but before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable, and thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an interesting time of the offseason. Well, obviously, as we know, it's not the offseason, the start to the offseason that Bucks fans wanted. There's still obviously the playoffs still going on, but the Bucks have not been, they didn't have a great season. No doubt about it. And then reports come out about Giannis Antetokounmpo being traded. And whether you want to, admit that he's going to be traded or not, there's going to be a ton of rumors, a ton of reports. And we have a brand new report leaking the Rockets trade offer, and you can see there a little bit of a sneak peek. But I want to start with this from the Houston Rockets and Evan Sideri. The Rockets would be open to trading Alperen Sengun in a package for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Houston could build a very compelling trade offer for the Bucks centered around Sengun, prospects, and draft capital. So for the first time, we've heard of a firm report about what type of players will be involved in a deal for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, again, if you've been following along for a while here on the channel, but just in general, there's a few teams that have very good, there's a couple teams that can offer very good packages, and the Rockets are one of them. They have a ton of, draft capital, very good young players, and Alperen Sengun, I'm very curious to see what you guys think about it, is one of the players that would be involved in a trade package, but also another report dropped revealing that Jabari Smith Jr. is also likely to be included in any potential deal for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So we have the framework for a package here now, which is Alperen Sengun and Jabari Smith Jr. in exchange for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And obviously, there's a very interesting, there's two different sides to all of these trade rumors, and especially this one here. You're either on the fence or on the side of keeping Giannis Antetokounmpo. And, obviously, Bucks fans have been through mediocrity before, way worse than it is with Giannis, and you just want to ride it out with Giannis, even if you aren't championship contenders, or you want to get as many assets as possible. And these are two very intriguing players, and I would assume the Bucks want to stay fairly competitive and not just fully trade, one of the best players we've ever seen for, strictly draft picks, which could be lottery tickets. Sengun is a really, really good, big man. And then Jabari Smith Jr., former, really, really solid, highly touted prospect. He's been okay. And again, he's still part of a Rockets team now that, they're still a very good team. Now, if they go for Giannis Antetokounmpo, of course, that kind of changes things a little bit there. But it is a very interesting, thing to discuss. But also, you see an article dropped here, and this has, I believe it's from Sportsnet, but they have the Rockets as one of the top, if not the top contender for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And you can see here the Rockets are the favorites to land at Antetokounmpo, and Houston took a major step towards contention this season, as we know, all these different things. Despite being primed with picks and prospects throughout the past seasons, Houston's front office pushed back the idea of swinging for a star until it gave the group a chance in the playoffs. And this was, of course, in previous years. And now here they are. And what could they offer? According to this report, they have 7 first-rounders from now until 2031. And they also have Sengun, Jalen Green, Amen Thompson, Terry Eason, Jabari Smith Jr. that could presumably be had. Now, as I don't think Bucks fans want Jalen Green. I think that wouldn't really be, I've seen some Rockets fans out there saying, hey, include Jalen Green as the headliner for a deal. I don't think that makes any sense from the Bucks perspective. Like, yeah, he's a volume scorer and an inefficient scorer. I think Sengun is a much better asset. I think Jabari Smith Jr. is a much better asset. And of course, the most prized asset here would be Amen Thompson. And I think he's probably untouchable in all trade talks, but I do still think a package surrounding Alperen Sengun and, of course, Jabari Smith Jr. could be good. You're talking about guys that should have very high ceilings. Sengun is a very good player right now. Jabari Smith Jr., regressed a little bit, but even then, he's playing on a winning team with the Houston Rockets, so I can't even say he fully regressed. But they also have guys like Cam Whitmore and Reed Shepherd, who was most recently the 3rd overall pick in last year's draft in 2024. So it makes things extremely interesting, and I think this package would be almost as compelling as many of the other ones. We're thinking about what, to compare these packages to, and we'll have future videos on it. The Spurs, the number 2 pick, the number 14th pick, Stephon Castle, that's a package that could make sense for the Bucks. And would you prefer a package like that where you can get, who are Ace Bailey or someone, whoever else you'd want? There's a lot of different guys that you could want in the first round if you get a draft pick there with the 14th overall pick and the 2nd overall pick, but also, you're at the point now where would you rather that a package like the Spurs where you get a 2nd pick, the 14th pick, and the rookie of the year and Stephon Castle, if the Spurs would even offer that, or would you rather 2 solid players are very, very good? And let's look into Alperen Sengun's stats here for a minute. Last season Yeah, or this is Jabari Smith Jr. We're getting to Sengun in a minute. Jabari Smith Jr. This season, I guess, technically, 12 points a game. The year before, 13 points a game. Like, he's a very solid player, and he's improved his efficiency since his rookie year, but it's also dipped a bit since last year. He's a very solid rebounder. I think on the Bucks, he could become a 20-point per game scorer if he gets consistent minutes. He hasn't been a starter this season as much because they, of course, brought in some guys, and obviously, with the Rockets being as good as they have been this year, some of his minutes are, were taken up this year by other big men and even guys like, Steven Adams, things like that. So it's going to be interesting there to see what happens. But also, most importantly, Alfred Sengun is probably the headliner of this package. Now, he averages 19 points a game this year. And again, it seems that everybody on the Rockets at this moment kind of took a little bit, not necessarily a step back, as Sengun has been, you think compared to his rookie year, he is unbelievable. He started every game. He has 19 points a game this year. Not quite as efficient as last year, both from the field and from the three-point range. But again, Alfred Sengun, like a package headlining two very good players. I think and very young. Sengun's 22. Jabari Smith is extremely young as well. But he's 21. Yeah, 21 years old. You're at the point now where it's like, this is a type of package that if you do have to come to terms with trading Giannis, you get these two guys, you get a bunch of picks. It's something you can start to build around. Now, is it ever going to be as good as Giannis Antetokounmpo? No, but you can't really think about that, with the way that this is. Either he's going to, and if Giannis forces himself out of Milwaukee, which I don't think is going to happen, but I do ultimately think he's debating, leaving and finding a place that, fits better. We know that some of his, I guess, wants are a competitive team, a team to play alongside a co-star. In Houston, you can debate who their co-star is. Obviously, in San Antonio, it would be very clear with Victor Wembanyama. And maybe the Spurs or the Bucks, just say, hey, we're not going to trade Giannis. We're going to try to build around him. They're in a very tight spot. They lost most of their picks. Dame's going to be out this entire year, most likely. All these different things that are happening. It's a very interesting, time of year. But also the East is still wide open now, especially after, Jason Tatum unfortunately tore his Achilles. Damian Lillard tore his Achilles. All these different things. Like, the East is still open. But I think if you're going to make a trade, landing somebody like this, and if you land, let's say, Sengun, Jabari Smith, and some picks, you can then either kind of flip those assets to get some more guys to build around those two and find some other players there. Then you'll have Dame coming back. It could be an interesting team. Is it a championship caliber team? Probably not, but it's an interesting team. And I think they want to at least stay competitive rather than just completely blowing it up. And you can even see to offer Cam Whitmore, it's only been 2 games where he played 30 plus minutes and he's averaging very good stats. So if you get him over to the Bucks where he can play a ton of minutes, and maybe that's what, throw him in instead of Amen Thompson, because you're not going to get Amen Thompson in a deal, most likely. That could be extremely interesting, and maybe that's something, Cam Whitmore, Jabari Smith Jr., Alfred Sengun, obviously had to make salaries work. You make that work there, and I think it could be a very interesting trade for both sides. But let me know down below what your thoughts are. If you think that the Bucks should, again, this is assuming they're going to trade Giannis. None of us want Giannis to be traded, but if it does happen, do you think this is a decent package? Do you think they could do worse than this? I think it's a pretty solid one, but there's also other teams involved, like the Trailblazers, the New Orleans Pelicans. They obviously have Zion. There's a lot of different, teams that have become revealed since, this trade report has dropped from Shams, which is not the trade report any of us wanted to hear about. But at the end of the day, if we're going to be trading Giannis, the Bucks, that is, you got to make sure that, you get the best package. And I think the Rockets are probably positioned well to do that, especially according to these reports with Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr., Cam Whitmore, draft capital, 7 first-round picks of 2031. You can get an absolute haul. This isn't going to be like a Luka Doncic situation. They're only going to trade him if you can get a ton for him. And I ultimately think whether it's the Spurs, OKC, Rockets, Lakers, I'm sure will throw some picks in there, throw some offers in there. They're going to be a ton of teams. They're going to be a ton of teams and suitors waiting at the line for one of the best players we've ever seen and the best player in Bucks history. But let me know down below what your thoughts are on all this. It's going to be very interesting. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news. Thank you guys for watching.